Good morning, all of you. My name is Dr. Neha Hamilton, and today we are going to start with a new subject. The name of this subject is Research Methods in Management, and this is a very important subject in our MBA degree or BBA degree, or it is there in education also. All in all, this is a very important subject, and this subject provides you a great understanding on how to go about a research, what is the process of conducting a research, and also how to write a research paper or research report writing, thesis writing. Everything is involved in this subject. So basically, this subject is a very huge and very vast subject. Um, that includes the theoretical part also, and the calculative part is also included in research methods and management. So without wasting any time, I hope the slide is visible to you, and I will start my presentation. The first and the most important thing of any discipline is to understand what are the learning objectives. So, the learning objectives are to understand the basic concept of research and its meaning. See, whenever we start any new concept, any new subject, it is important to understand that what is the basic meaning of that subject, what is the concept of that subject, right? So that is the basic. We are going to understand definitely the meaning of research. Next is to imply applications of research in theory and practice. So definitely we are going to understand that how research is going to be useful in theory and practice, and what are the applications of research, and definitely we are going to understand the types of research. That means what are the categories of research. This also we are going to understand in this lecture of research. So these are my learning objectives for today. These are the questions that you will be able to answer if you attend this lecture of 45 minutes, which is what is the research, types of research, and applications of research. Same, the concept of research will be able to understand. You will be understand the types of research, categories of research, and definitely the applications of research. Right? It is also very important. Yes. So now, in order to understand research methodology, we need to understand what is research. So basically, what is research? The formal definition of research is that it is a systematic inquiry to describe, explain, predict, and control the observed phenomena. It involves inductive and deductive methods. Research refers to systematic methods consisting of enunciating the problem, formulating a hypothesis, collecting data, analyzing the facts, and reaching certain conclusions. So, from where does the research starts? Research starts with enunciating the problem. See, problem identification is very important in research. You should have crystal clear concept in your mind that this is the topic on which I'm going to do a particular research on, right? So in your mind, you should be clear that what is the problem area exactly and what am I going to deal with it. Formulating a hypothesis that we will understand in the later classes that what is hypothesis, but right now we have to understand that whatever forecast, whatever prediction, whatever predictions you made for a particular problem, that this can happen or this cannot happen, that is called as hypothesis. As simple as that. You have to predict what is going to be the result of the research. That is hypothesis. Collecting data. Of course, if you are doing a research, means you are collecting a data. It can be data collection in a laboratory, it can be in a medical setting, it can be in an agricultural field, it can be anywhere, from any point you are collecting the data from the respondents, from the researchers. So that is called as data collection. Analyzing the facts. Okay. Once you collect the data, you have to analyze the facts. You have to go for statistical analysis. So that statistical analysis is the meaning of analyzing the facts and reaching the conclusion. So you are doing a particular research because you want to reach on a particular conclusion, right? You want to conclude. You want to give your findings to the society so that it is helpful for the society and for other researchers as well, right? So this is the basic concept of research. These are the small activities which are involved in a research process as a whole. So what is research? Research refers to systematic method. Systematic means it is a method which is organized, which is hierarchical, and it has certain steps involved in it. What are the steps which are involved in it? Enunciating a problem means defining a problem, understanding the problem, clarifying the problem. Hmm? Formulating hypothesis means forecasting or predicting what is going to happen in future. Collecting data, you collect the data from the people, analyze the facts, you do statistical analysis on these facts, and then you reach a particular conclusion, right? You give your findings, you give your recommendations to the people you know, and this is called as research. Now, according to American sociologist Earl Robert Bellew, what is the definition which is given? Now, we have to be very clear in the difference between definition and meaning, right? If the examiner is asking you definition of research, please write the exact definition which is given by the researcher. Please write the same words in the same sequence, use the same sentences. If the examiner is asking you meaning of research, then you can modify the words and you can explain in your own language. So let us come to the definition of research. Research is a systematic inquiry to describe, explain, predict, control the observed phenomena. It involves inductive and deductive methods. So, what are these inductive and deductive methods that we are definitely going to discuss? What are those? As you can see on the screen, inductive means inductive reasoning aims at developing a theory. Deductive reasoning aims at testing and existing theory, right? So there is a difference between the two. When you are in the very uh, initial stages of research, when you are in a very initial stages of research where you have just started doing a particular research, you are not clear about what is going to happen next, in what direction your research is going to go, you are not aware of that, right? So that is basically inductive reasoning, when the phenomena is new, when the phenomena is novel, and you are just taking collecting evidences to do a particular research. So that kind of research is called as inductive research. So what is inductive reasoning? Developing a new theory. A new theory means something that was not existing earlier, something which is new, something which is novel, which is innovative, right? So that is called as what? Inductive reasoning. Okay, you are developing a new theory, inductive reasoning. You are testing an existing theory, right? There are various theories which are established and given by many scientists and many philosophers. For example, Newton's law of motion, right? So Newton has given three law of motion. So we are very clear that what are those three law of motion. If you are testing those theories, if you are using the applications of that theory and testing that particular theory. For example, the law of demand is fixed, right? The law of demand is fixed, and if you are testing on that particular demand, that whether that theory is right or wrong, or exploring the applications of that particular theory, then that is called as uh, deductive reasoning. Now, inductive reasoning moves from specific observation to broad generalizations. and deductive reasoning ways the other way around. So, as the name suggests, inductive reasoning moves from the specific observations to broad generalizations, right? Specific observation means, see, why broad generalizations? Because you are developing a theory. You do not know the boundaries of a particular theory. You do not know what can be the variables of a particular theory. So you are just moving from a specific observation to a broad generalization, right? And what is deductive reasoning? You are moving from a broad generalization to a narrow conclusion. So that is called as deductive reasoning. Okay. So I hope you can see my next slide, which is inductive research. Now, inductive research has come from inductive reasoning, right? What is inductive research? Inductive research methods are used to analyze an observed event, and deductive methods are used to verify the observed event, right? As I've explained earlier, that whatever, if you want to analyze or an observant event, that is inductive reasoning, you want to verify whether it is right or whether it is wrong or how much useful it is. So then it is deductive reasoning. Inductive approaches are associated with qualitative research, and deductive methods are commonly associated with quantitative research. See, because inductive research is a novel research, is an exploratory kind of research. We are not clear of the hypothesis of the variables. So that's how inductive approaches are associated with qualitative research. So in qualitative research, we are more concerned about the theoretical part of the research, more numerical part, statistical part, data analysis part is not involved in qualitative research, but it is definitely involved in quantitative research. So research is conducted with a purpose to understand why do organizations or businesses really want to find what are the processes that need to be followed to chase the idea, right? So why this research is being conducted, it is important to understand the motive behind it. So what is the first motive? What do organizations or businesses really want to find out? So the research problems are enormous in business. For example, you are having a business which was going very smooth in the past 1 year, and now there are hurdles in the business. You are not having any profit. So if you are not having any profit means there is some problem. You need to find out this problem. That means you have to go for research, right? So what do they really want to find out depends on the type of situation they are dealing with, the type of problems or challenges they are dealing with, all those problems. Next is what are the processes that need to be followed to chase the idea, right? So different kind of researchers have different methods of performing. So those processes you are going to understand here in research methodology. What are the arguments that need to be built around a concept? See, if we make arguments, we are able to create a clear-cut hypothesis. So arguments are very important part of a research. Through arguments, you can design a very precise and very to the point research problem also, and you will be able to design a concept also. What is the evidence that will be required for people to believe in the idea or concept? So, what is the evidence? Means evidence in the form of data that is required to prove a particular point. That also is a part of inductive research. Next slide is very important because it carries characteristics of research. So, what are the characteristics of research? Let us understand. A systematic approach must be followed for accurate data. Rules and procedures are integral part of processes that set the objective. Researchers need to practice, fix, and code of conduct while making observations and drawing conclusions. So it is very important to understand the rules and procedures which are integral part of a research problem, right? A systematic approach is very important because you want accuracy in research. So that's why systematic approach is very important. Research is based on logical reasoning and it involves both inductive and deductive methods. So we have already understood what are inductive methods and we have already understood what are deductive methods. Right. So research can go both ways, right? Either we want to explore something new which has not been explored before, or we want to verify or test the theories which has already been proposed and initiated by somebody else, right? So research goes both the ways. That's why it is written that it can be inductive as well as it can be deductive. Next is the data or knowledge that is derived is in real time for actual observations in natural settings. So research is not something which is hypothetical, right? Research is something which is real and which you are actually doing as a researcher. You are actually collecting data. You are actually going to the field and collecting data. If you have already designed a research problem, if you have with you the hypothesis, you are actually, taking primary data. Okay. Now, what is primary data? Primary data is something that you're collecting for the first time. Okay, that is primary data. Next, research create a path for generating new questions. Existing data helps create more opportunities for research. More and more data we have available, more opportunities are created to for new arenas of research. Research is analytical in nature. When I say analytical, that means numbers are involved, figures are involved, statistics is involved in research, right? It makes use of all the available data, so there is no ambiguity in inference. What is the meaning of ambiguity? Ambiguity means something which is not clear, right? When the clarity is missing, that is called as ambiguity. Okay. So research, there is no scope of ambiguity in research because you want your data, uh, you want your conclusions to be as accurate as possible. Now, why you want very accurate results or why do you want very specific results? Let me say, because let's take an example. For example, right now, COVID pandemic is going on and we are among the, we are, in the mid of um, second wave of coronavirus. Let's say, for example, a lot of trials for vaccinations are going on, right? It is happening right now. It is going on right now. So, what happens is there is no scope of error in that. Okay. So, why there is no scope of error? Because we are implying the result of those vaccination trials to the people who are around us, to the nations of our country, to the people who are actually living. So there is no scope of error in the trials of vaccination that are happening, which is a form of research, right? So there is no scope of mistake. There is no scope of any kind of uh, mistakes or errors in that research because here we are dealing with thousands of people. We are going to give this vaccination to millions and billions of people who are living in our country. So we have to be very careful when we are doing specifically the medical research or the scientific research. We call it experimental research in the research lab. So whenever you are performing this experimental research, accuracy is very important characteristic of a research because this may be uh, given to thousands of people. You know, play with the lives of the people. So that's how accuracy is very important, right? So these are the characteristics of research. I hope you all have understood these characteristics of research. They are very easy and very briefly written on the slide also. Okay. Next is types of research. Okay. Now, types of research is very also very important because we need to understand that what are the dimensions of a particular research, in what particular directions the research is going, right? So that's why we need to understand the basic types of research. So the first type of research is called as basic research. Hmm? What is basic research? Basic research is data collected to enhance knowledge. The main motivation is knowledge expansion. Okay, so this is non-commercial research that doesn't facilitate in creating or inventing anything. For example, an experiment to determine a simple fact. So, what is basic research? See, basic research we are doing to enhance our knowledge, our understanding of the world around us, right? Uh, it can be anything very simple, or it can be anything very complicated. It can be on the earth, or it can be on the space. It can be in science, it can be in economics, right? It can be in social science, it can be in physics, anywhere. So, if you want to improve your basic knowledge, for example, you are studying the galaxies out there in the space. You are understanding or researching on the total planets in our solar system. This is something which is basic research. You are doing, how plants manufacture their food, which is called as photosynthesis. You are uh, you are studying how your body functions. What is the function of liver? What is the function of kidney? Or how food is digested in the body, or maybe how do hairs grow, right? So these are some basic research problems that we need to know. We should have knowledge of all those things. What is the nutritional composition of a fruit, or a new tropical fruit which we have just found out. And this is something which is basic research. Okay, simple fact, right? Whatever simple fact you want to find out, you can do it through basic research. Now let's talk about applied research. Now, what is applied research? Applied research focuses on analyzing and solving the real life problems. See, real life problems means you want to solve a problem, you are facing a challenge, you want to solve that particular issue or particular problem that you are having. Researchers do a great amount of research and come up with a solution for that particular thing. So that is called as applied research. When you want to make your life easy, when you want to make your life uh, sustainable, when you want to make your life convenient, comfortable, that is called as applied research. For example, finding a specific cure for a disease, right? So, this example, yes, corona pandemic is going on, and we are finding a solution for that uh, disease. We are using steroids, we are using antiviral drugs, and we are using whatnot, antibiotics also in coronavirus. So we need to find out a specific medicine for coronavirus, right? For example, in malaria, we have a very specific medicine, a chloroquine. So why don't we have a specific medicine for corona, right? We have a specific medicine for common cold also. But why don't we have a specific medicine for COVID? Because this is a new disease. You have to find out a medicine for that. And it's a good news that an Indian company, DRDO, it's an Indian government company, they have come up with a medicine of coronavirus. They have just launched it before a month ago or so, and it is very useful for the patients of India who are suffering from this disease. So this is applied research. The researches which are not there to enhance your knowledge, but they are going to make your life easy and simplified is an example of applied research. So when I talk about basic research, what are we doing in basic research? Um, we are basically determining the simple fact or simple thing that is known. What are we doing in applied research? We are solving the real life problem of the people. This is what we are doing in a applied research, right? We are solving the problems. For example, we are finding out vaccinations, we are finding out a cure, a medicine for a particular disease. So this is example of applied research. Now, next point is that we have to understand the purpose of research. Just a moment. See, when I talk about purpose of research, means what is your approach of doing a particular research. That is the purpose of your research. And broadly, it is classified into three areas. The first is called as exploratory research. The second is called as descriptive research, and the third is called as causal research. Right? There are three areas of research, or you can see three. You can say there are three purposes of research which are, which is being carried out. Let us understand exploratory research first, which is the most basic form of research. Okay? This type of research isn't about making final conclusions, but rather gathering general information about the topic. Often in marketing terms, exploratory research is used at the start of a marketing plan or long-term business strategy to see if the idea is viable in a way. It is conducted to handle new problem areas which haven't been explored before. Right? So that is called as exploratory research. So exploratory research we need to understand is a type of research in which we are basically doing a research which has not been done before. We are exploring a untouched area of research. We are doing a research on a topic which has never been researched before, whether it is in the field of science or in the field of social science, or it can be anything, right? But we need to understand that when we are talking about exploratory research, we are talking about a novel research, a new research, innovative research, or area which has never been touched before. So that is called as basically the exploratory research. So, for example, uh, for example, you have opened a new business, right? It's a new business. You don't know, you don't have the history of business, and you have opened that business, and that business is doing tremendously well for the past 6 months. But suddenly the sales has started dropping. Now you don't know, you have no idea, no clue why the sales are dropping abruptly. You have no idea about it, right? So when you have no idea about why this is happening, nobody has done any kind of research on your business before. You don't know what the variables are, right? You don't know which direction to go. So that is basically exploratory research. You are doing something that nobody has done before. So here, you know, it can have no hypothesis, it can have no generalizations, no variables whatsoever, nothing, right? So that's how it's been done. Okay. So this among the three purposes of research, the first And the very important part is called as exploratory research. What is exploratory research again? This is an innovative type of research which has never been done in the past. We are doing this research for the first time. Okay. Now let's come to descriptive research. One step ahead is a descriptive research. So, what is this one step ahead? Attempts to explore and explain information often discovered through exploratory research. When it comes to a company, it could relate to a business purchase, a product type, a service offering, or any other part of the organization structure pertaining to market. So, whenever you are clear with the variables and whenever you got the direction in exploratory research, descriptive research is the next step of exploratory research when you could relate to a product type or service offering or any part of the organizational structure pertaining to marketing or sales or human resource or productions and operations. Any part of the business can deal with descriptive marketing. You have basic idea of what are the variables, and then you are further studying those variables in detail. You know the basic theory, right? In descriptive research, you know the basic theory, and now you are understanding that how these theories can be proved or things like that. So that is called as descriptive research. Okay. So here in this slide, we have some of the characteristics of exploratory research that will help you understand the concept of exploratory research better. What are those concepts? The first thing is to define an ambiguous problem more precisely. Why sales of a particular specific product is declining? Again, this product is new. Nobody has done any research on that product. You are the one who is doing the research for the first time. So that is how exploratory research works. Next is to gain understanding of an issue. So you want to gain understanding of a particular issue or particular challenge that is being faced by our society or that is being faced by us, right? That you want to study. So that is a part of exploratory research to gain a better understanding of an issue. To you know, when the corona pandemic hit India, nobody had idea that how much it is going to persist in India. When are we going to be free from this particular disease? How to get rid of this disease? What are the medicines and vaccinations available for this disease? Nothing was known. So whatever research is done for coronavirus, all will come in exploratory research because this is a new disease. It has never been done before, never been diagnosed before. To generate new ideas, like what one can do to improve customer relationships, develop hypotheses that can explain the occurrence of a specific phenomena. So, you know, uh, hypothesis generation is very rare in exploratory research, and sometimes the conclusion of exploratory research is finding out the variables and designing the hypothesis for providing the insights like what political changes in the international environment are going to affect the business, right? So again, this is an example of exploratory research. Okay, so descriptive research, as the name suggests, is used for description or to describe the phenomena or the idea. It is generally used in the following conditions: to describe the traits of specific groups like our largest customers who account for more than 60% of the sales and based on the result design and future marketing efforts. So this is an example of descriptive research. We are We have find out what are the variables, and then we are describing those variables. Another example is to estimate the size of consumer groups in a population that act in a specific manner. For example, their buying behavior. For example, their liking, their taste and preferences. Right? All these are examples of descriptive research. For specific predictions, forecasting the number of companies switching to new CRM software. So, what are the total number of companies which are using this new software? The name of this software is Customer Relationship Management. How many companies are using them and finding it relevant, right? So, that is again a descriptive research, right? We are finding out how many people like it, how many people have not liked it, like this. Okay. So, this is the final kind of research after we have understood the exploratory research and we have understood the uh, descriptive research. Now we have to understand the causal research, or it is also called as experimental research. Now, what is causal research? When there is cause and effect relationship between these variables, we are understanding the impact of one variable on the another variable in a research. Right? The examples are given on the slides very clearly. For example, to test the market for a new product by collecting the data about its sales potential. So, what are we studying? We are studying how the market is being impacted by this new product by watching the sales potential of that particular product. To check the performance or effectiveness of a new advertising campaign to decide whether to continue with it or not, right? So you have launched a new advertising campaign and you are watching the effect of that whether it is positively impacting or negatively impacting particular company that you want to know. So that is the example of causal research. Then you want to measure the improvement in the performance of employee after providing them training or new skills. So you are providing your employees with a particular kind of training, and you want to check that whether that training is useful for the employees, whether that training is doing something good for the employees or not. This is also research. We have two variables, the effect of training and the performance improvement of employees, right? So here also we have two variables that we are studying. To examine the effects of rebranding initiatives based on the level of loyalty of. So we are studying that whatever rebranding initiatives or exercises we are doing are how they are impacting the loyalty of the customers. This we are seeing. Okay. Now this table is like very important, and this table presents a comparison on the three kind of research that we have been talking about. The first kind of research is exploratory, then we have descriptive, then we have causal research. So when we compare the research approach used, then in exploratory research it is unstructured research. In descriptive research, this is a structured kind of a research. In causal research, it is a highly structured kind of a causal research. So when I talk about exploratory research, I am talking about unstructured research because this is a new research. Nobody has done this research before, so that's why it is unstructured. When I talk about descriptive research, it is a kind of structured research because now I'm clear with the variables, now I'm clear with the hypothesis, right? And kind of explaining the variables and hypotheses, so that is called as descriptive research. Causal research is a highly structured research because here you are very specifically studying two variables, the impact on two or three variables among each other. Okay. Next, research is conducted through. In exploratory research, you are asking open-ended research questions. Open-ended means you are providing a great scope for the researcher to answer questions. Closed-ended research questions means you are providing the alternatives among that the researcher has to answer. And in causal research, we are specifically using research hypothesis. When is it conducted? So exploratory is conducted in early stages of decision making. Descriptive is conducted in later stages of decision making, and causal research is conducted at the last stage of decision making. So stages are again very important when at what point of time you have to choose what kind of research. You should be very specific and very clear in this also, right? So we have exploratory, descriptive, and causal research, and you have to be clear on when what kind of research is being used. Okay, so that's it for today. Let's do a quick revision of what we have covered in today's class. The first thing uh, that we have discussed was the basic concept of research we have discussed. Then I have given you the learning objectives. I have given you the questions to be answered. Why we are studying this particular subject. Then we have started the research meaning and research definition. Then inductive and deductive reasoning. Okay, this is important. Characteristic of research. We have studied what are the characteristics, what are the objectives, or what are the basic like motives of research. Then we have studied the types of research. When I talk about types of research, there are only two types. It's like basic research and then we have applied research. I'm giving you examples also. Then we have understood the basic purpose of research. When I talk about basic purpose of research, then we have exploratory, we have descriptive, and we have causal research. So we are moving from a broad generalization to a very specific kind of research. When we talk about exploratory research, in research, we are just exploring a particular thing, a particular research problem, or a particular area of study. When uh, I am talking about descriptive research, it is a bit structured as compared to exploratory research because I'm asking close-ended questions and I'm using this at a later stage of decision making. And when I talk about causal research is something which is highly structured form of a research, right? So here I am clear about my variables. I know what kind of variables I am going to use, and it is like a very structured research where I'm using hypothesis, and it is basically used in later stages of decision making, right? So the stages differ. The stages in which you conduct a particular research depends on what approach of research you are using. Whether you are using exploratory research or you are using descriptive research or you are using causal research. That depends on the stage of the research in which you are doing a particular research. Right. It depends on how much research have been already conducted in that area or what is the stage of that particular research area which is happening. For example, if I talk about COVID crisis, everything will come under a exploratory research, right? And now because vaccines are there, medicines are there, if we are using the effectiveness of uh, a medicine, that again it comes in exploratory research. But if we are studying which is better, which is not better, descriptive research. If we are using two variables like effect of medicine on recovery of patients, so that becomes causal research. So that's how these three parts of research are being studied, right? So I think that's it for today. We have covered the basic types of research and mm, approaches of research. So that's it from my side. I am now ending the class. Thank you so much for joining and listening.